Okay, so it's time to begin. Good to see a lot of visitors tonight. Um, well, some visitors, not a lot, but some. Anyway, our scripture reading this week is Book of Daniel, all 12 chapters. So, questions on chapter 1. How long did Daniel and his three friends eat vegetables and water in verse 12? Actually, the test trial was 10 days, right? And then what was the result of the test trial in verse 15? Yeah, features better, fatter, and flesh. So chapter 2, who was the only one who could interpret Nebuchadnezzar's dream in verse 19? Okay, that's not the answer I was looking for, but you're right.
That's what Daniel said. Daniel's like, it's not in me.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's God. I was looking for Daniel, though, but anyway. What was the image made of? Verses 32 through 35. Yep. All right. Chest and arms, silver. Belly and thighs, bronze. Legs, arm and feet, iron and clay. What struck the image and crushed it? Okay. And what happened to that rock? Yeah. It's a great mountain that filled up the whole earth. Chapter 3. What happened to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego when they didn't worship the golden image the king set up? Verse 20.
They were brought before the king, and the king said, "Maybe you didn't fall down. I'll give you a chance now."
Okay, so they're cast in the fiery furnace. Anything happened to them in verse 26? Not even their hair was singed. Yeah, not even smell like smoke. Yep. Chapter 4, Nebuchadnezzar has a second dream. Who was the tree that could be seen by all the earth? Verse 22. Yes. And what happened to the tree in verse 25? Chopped down, right? And what happened to the Nebuchadnezzar? What is he going to be like? What is he going to end up eating? Yeah. Yeah. So why was this going to happen in verse 30? Right. Pride, right? Bragging about how great he was. Chapter 5, what was Belshazzar doing when he saw the handwriting on the wall, verse 3? Partying with what? Yes. And who interpreted the handwriting, and what was the interpretation? Verse 17 is everybody knows who interpreted. God. Verse 26, what was the interpretation? Yep. Chapter 6, what was the decree that the administrators and satraps set up in verse 7? Yeah. And what did they find out? What was Daniel doing? Yep. And what was done to Daniel, verse 16? Yep. And who shut the lion's mouth, verse 22? Yes, angel. Okay, chapter 7, what did the four beasts represent here in verse 17? Four kingdoms, okay? Chapter 8, Daniel has another vision. Who was able to understand it in verse 18? Who was able to interpret it for Daniel? Gabriel, yes. Yes. Chapter 9, how long did Jeremiah say that Jerusalem be in desolation in verse 2? 70 years, yep. Chapter 10, how long did Daniel mourn and ate no pleasant food or meat or wine? Yep, 3 weeks. Chapter 11 talks about the battle between the kings of the north and south. Which of the four kings will be richer than them all in verse 2? The fourth king. Who will escape the attack of the king of the north in verse 41? 3 countries. Who will escape the attack of the king of the north? In verse 41, there's 3 countries named. And Ammon, right? Chapter 12, verse 1, who will be delivered? It's found at the end of chapter 1. Yeah. Yep.
Session on the time between the testaments, and so that'll shed some light on it, I think. All right, let's take a look. What you've got before you there is the Ishtar Gate. We talked a little bit about the fact that tonight we were going to make a change going from book number 1 to book number 2. First book was chapters in Isaiah. We talked about the first book being chapters 1 through 39, dealing with the Assyrian period. And tonight we're moving into the Babylonian period, which will be chapters 40 through 66. And what you've got there in front of you, I want to kind of just talk briefly. Isaiah will not be alive to see this, right? How many years do you think it'll be from the time that Isaiah dies, approximately, till the time that these things start happening that he's prophesying? Yeah, that's right. I think that's the number that Homer threw out there. So it's interesting because we're being told some things that have not happened yet, and God's telling us that. Triumphal gate. It's the gate in Babylon that probably all of the captives were through. Rome had one. You know, whenever they took over a nation, they would drag the slaves through the gate. And so more than likely, during the 3 carrying aways, all of those slaves saw that gate. Now that gate is in one of the museums in Germany. Back in 1902, a fellow went over there and excavated, and he brought it all over to Germany, and it's there to that day. I'm sure it's a real sore spot. I'm sure somebody out there is fighting. Yeah, so you read something on it. Yeah, I'm betting somewhere out there they're trying to make Germany give that back, because that's exactly what they pulled out of the ground, what you're looking at right there. Interestingly, though, you don't have to go all the way to Germany to see some of the things. This is a model of what it looked like based on what they've dug up so far. So you can see you've got this triumphal entryway that brings you right in, and you can just pretty much shut your eyes and think about those slaves being drugged, those Israelites who didn't listen to God. Okay, in 606, the first one, 596, let's see, 606 was when Daniel was taken, right, in the first one. Then Ezekiel was taken in the second one, in 596, give or take, plus or minus a year there. And then 586, they had finally had it with Jerusalem and Judah. And they came in and just annihilated them and drug them all off captive and left only the poorest around. So we had 3 carrying aways. Those people were very likely drugged through those very gates, past those very stones, and brought in. Now you can see some of the entryway. The Germans were nice enough to let the Oriental Institute, I'm always talking about that. That's an original right there in front of you. Those are the actual stones that were dug up, that frieze, and sent to the Oriental Institute for. You can go up there today and see that actual porcelain, frieze. Same with that one. That one's in the Oriental Institute, and that one as well, all representing gods, different aspects. But I think it's just amazing how intact they were. If you've seen it, it's just an amazing thing that they could dig that up out of the sand. It's like it just fell over and they brought it back. So I showed you that to remind you that when when Brother Harkrider tells us, he's given the general theme of the next 40 to 66, chapter 40 to 66. He's given us the general thing, and the general theme is, comfort ye my people. They're going to need comfort, won't they, after they go through this thing? Do they deserve comfort? They do not deserve comfort because of where they've gone. They were warned. The prophets came forward. So Hezekiah is going to die. We get Manasseh, Amnon for a couple of years. We get Josiah, another bright spark, right? And then we get Jehoahaz for 3 months. And then we get Jehoiakim for about 10 years. Terrible king. Then we get Jehoiachin for 3 months. And then we get Zedekiah for about 10 or 11 years. So that last 20 years is just a wall of shame for Judah. And so they will suffer as a people. We've talked before about how the Bible talks about, I will put a hook in your mouth and drag you off as a slave. That's probably what they did. They probably got hauled off. The children were separated from them. I mean, just horrible, horrible punishment for not listening to what God told them to do. And which tells us a little bit about God and his character. When he tells us to do something, we need to do it, right? So kind of be thinking of these things as we go through this. When we decide and we read the Bible and we say, the Bible's just a guideline on that point. No, it's not. When God told them to do something, he meant for them to do it, exactly like he said. The other part he talks about is for about the first 8 chapters, we're going to be contrasting idols to the one true God. We're going to be talking about Jehovah and comparing him to the gods that Judah was worshiping. Right? They were not only not doing what Jehovah told them to do in his worship, but they were not doing what he had said. Don't make unto thee graven images. And they did. So we don't need to feel too sorry for Judah in this particular case. We'll come back to this in just a little while. Let's jump into the questions real quick and just see what comments we've got from that. What were the very first first couple chapters, or verses there, we talk about the voice of one crying in the, what will the voice in the wilderness cry? John 1:20, Isaiah 40, verse 3. That's right. And those same words are in John chapter 1, verse 23. So when we read that, when we put the two verses together, who is being talked about here? Who's being talked about? John the Baptist. That's right. John the Baptist is being discussed here because now what we're doing, remember the theme, comfort ye my people. God's going to take, and it's amazing here because we're talking about something that has not even happened yet, right? When they read this, they had to wonder, what in the world are we talking about? You know, things are going great here. It had not even happened. It would not happen for 150 years. And yet we're talking about it as if it has already occurred. It's already occurred. We're talking about like it's already there. And so he's comforting the people before they've needed comforting. Do you see that? How wonderful that is? And that's going to be a big point that he's going to make in chapter 41 when we get to it. So he's referencing John the Baptist. He's leaped forward to that wonderful thing that's going to happen when the Messiah comes to the children of Israel first. The gospel went first to Israel, didn't it? That's right. And then to the Gentiles. So prepare ye the way of the Lord. And then those 3 or 4 verses there begin to delve into that comfort that's coming. God's not going to forget his people, even as they come into the new kingdom, you know, but they're going to have to embrace Jesus Christ to do that. Romans 9, 10, and 11. All right, let's take a look at number 2. When the voice cries, what shall be revealed? Yeah, something else too. 40, 6 through 8. Let's read it together. That's right, the glory of the Lord. And somebody want to read that for me? Isaiah 40, verses 6 through 8. And so what do you think is the purpose of that statement, where it's located right here? We've talked about comfort. We've talked about the comfort that's coming. What's the reason that he throws that in there, do you think?
They talk about the eternal versus temporary.
Right.
His word will stand forever.
Right.
It's temporary.
What you and I are going through is just a vapor, you know. And so we should perk up. We should perk up and read these verses, you know. He's actually telling them to read these verses, but it's for us as well, right? And we should see there's great comfort coming. The comfort is not in our lives because we're like grass as far as God is concerned. Any other comments about that? Number 3, what are all nations counted as to God? Yeah, vanity, nothing. King James uses the word vanity. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah, very, very good point. And, and even as we roll into the kingdom, age that we're in now, and we are Israel, okay? We are spiritual Israel. These things all apply to us as well. This comfort, the way that God shepherded them, as Chris was just saying, the way he shepherded them and held them in his hands all through all those difficult times, and we'll go through that when we go through the time between the Testaments. You'll hear they went through some really tough times that are really not recorded in the Bible. That's called the 400 years of silence. But there was a lot going on when you read the chapters in Daniel that Jim was talking about, I think chapter 11. But that'll be a good study when we go through. God shepherded them all the way through to the time of John the Baptist, to the time of Christ. Paul preached to them and said, you got to come into the kingdom, folks. It's a new day. It's not a physical kingdom anymore. It's a spiritual kingdom. And it should give us, these things should give us great comfort too, because he cares for us, spiritual Israel, just like he cared for physical. Because we're doing the same thing. We're carrying the plan of God on forward, just like they were doing. They were doing what God needed them to do, and they were successful at it. Number 4, what is the Lord described as sitting upon? Circle of the earth. Absolutely. Interesting, isn't it? When we think of that. I was reading about Galileo in 1633. He was basically kicked out of the Catholic Church because he was advocating for the earth being spherical. And so anyways, it's just, it's a curious thought that back in 700 BC, we've got Isaiah saying that God sits on the circle of the earth. Any comments about that? Number 5, what will be the reward of those who wait upon the Lord? 40, verse 31. Absolutely. And you know what? I just wanted to read from the songbook, page 7, Saints Lift Your Voices. We're not going to sing it. I just want to read it to you because whenever we lead this song, it really moves me. And it is based upon Isaiah 40, verse 31. I mean, am I the only one here? When I read these words, I'm going to start with 29. He hath given power to the faint, and to them that have no might, he increases strength. I mean, I can just see the Israelites coming back to the land with Cyrus, to a place that is completely decimated. Not one block left on another, okay? They've got to rebuild their homes. I mean, imagine how they felt. They'd been in slavery for 70 years. Now they've got their own land. I bet it was really difficult. He giveth power to the faint, and to them that have no might, he increases strength. Or think about the people that were faithful to God before the Babylonians came in 586 and drug them all off. The people that were faithful, what do you think happened to them? They got drug off right along with them. Now, I'm absolutely sure God was with them, whether they died immediately so that they didn't have to worry about the suffering, or whether the God shepherded them through the captivity until their death. Irregardless, it had to be really difficult. And so these words, he giveth power to the faint, and to them that have no might, he increases their strength. Even the youths shall faint and be weary, and the younger men shall utterly fall. This is the part that I love, though. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. Isn't that beautiful? Is that not beautiful? Yeah, Chris, go ahead.
Well, it just shows weight, majesty of God, more than it is existence in the other people.
No.
But God said, even when we're not faithful, he will be faithful.
Right. And I'm sure he was focused on those that were faithful, I mean, because there were faithful people, this whole mist, all the way through this until the time of Christ. There were people doing what they were supposed to be doing. But they suffered right along with them. with the rest of them, and God helped them. There's gonna be times you're really gonna be faint, but I will be with you, he says. 150 years before it happens, he's telling them. So they're probably reading about it. The scribes were probably reading it in the, wherever they met. They say synagogue worship started in the Babylonian captivity, so maybe it was in there. But I want to read the words of Saints Lift Your Voices. There is none like him, none can compare. No God is equal, no prince is heir. Have you not known him? Have you not heard? God is creator of all the earth. Some will grow weary, sin they'll pursue. Servants of God, their power he'll renew. Lift up your eyes and see his great might. Soar like an eagle on wings of flight. Saints, lift your voices, though dark your days. Lift up your spirits, sing out his praise. Upward the calling, brighter the light, soaring like eagles on wings of flight. So, when we sing this song again, okay, I want all of you thinking about Isaiah, because it is a powerful song. I just thought I'd bring it up that way. If anybody's been singing it, not thinking about how it goes into Isaiah chapter 40, now you will. So, number 6, who hath wrought and done these things? Who hath wrought and done these things? Yep. Yeah. And what was he? Do you remember what he was talking about, Jim? That he had wrought these things. 41 verse 1, 2, 3, 4. I really think all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are all kind of grouped together. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. Anybody, what do you think about when you read those verses?
I think it's God's power, and also that God had created the world, also reasoning to speak.
Yeah, but I'm zeroing in on verse 2. Who raised up the righteous man from the east, called him to his foot, gave the nations before him, and made him rule over kings? He gave them as a dust to his sword and driven stubble to his bow. Now, there's not a whole lot of information there, but who do you think he might be talking about? No, it's after that, I think probably. I think it's Cyrus, okay? Because he's talking about he's going to be bringing somebody in. So yeah, I think at this point, I think it's Cyrus, because he's raising a righteous man. Cyrus will be the one in 38, I think. 538, he's going to say, hey, y'all can go back home. He's going to raise him. And how's he going to do that? He's going to defeat Babylon. Mighty Babylon is going to fall, and the Jews are going to get to go home. Big deal. So I think we're talking about Cyrus there. All right, now, where are we? Number 7, what 5 assurance does he give in saying, fear not? That's kind of moving too, I thought. Yeah, I mean, it's basically, I'm gonna strengthen you. I'm gonna be with you through all this difficulty that you're going to experience after you come back out of, through the captivity, out of the captivity. I'm going to keep you together as a nation and strengthen you, because you are my people. And what are we? We're God's people, right? So the same thing. So that admonition that we're reading here is just going on indefinitely until the Lord comes again. We are God's people, and he has assured us that he's going to care for us. And these verses explain it in so many different ways. That's the thing that's marvelous about it. As you take the deep dive, you just can't miss it. What will happen to those incensed against God? Yeah, they're going to come to nothing, absolutely. And we see that, people that try to, come up with some kind of philosophy that basically doesn't even take God into the equation. What happens to that? Falls by the wayside. It's empty at the point of death. There's nothing comforting in it. And so that's what the Lord's telling us. It'll come to naught. What will they see, know, consider, and understand? Yeah. And most of this chapter, again, is about comparing the idols that Judah put their faith in versus Jehovah. There's no comparison, is there? At all. Number 10. What are the molten images? 41:29. Wind and confusion, that's right. All right, let's jump down here to true and false. Israel's way was hidden from God while in captivity. Absolutely. Nope, he followed right along with them. God gives power to the faint and strengthens those who have no strength. True. The Lord will gather his lambs and carry them in his bosom. Yep, more comfort. There is no searching of God's understanding. Yep, and God is said to have chosen the seed of Abraham. Okay, let's talk about that. Yeah, that's true. He says, if you read 41:8, this is one of those, probably got two answers. 41:8 says, "But thou, O Israel, art my servant," okay? "Jacob, whom I have chosen." Jacob, whom I have chosen, of the seed of Abraham. Was everybody of the seed of Abraham chosen? No. How about Ishmael? Thank you. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah. Ishmael. Oh, no. There's a whole bunch of people today, okay, that think Ishmael and Jacob are on the same footing. That is not true, okay? Correct. Yeah, that's what I put. I put false because of that. Yeah, I meant to say that. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
The reason I put true is because God made it, he made it clear to each of them. He made it clear he didn't choose.
Right.
He didn't choose it. It's kind of like how when everybody was made Issachar king, or, I think it's how my pastor wrong, but God had made it. So
Yeah.
God already chose who he wanted. He was the people thought that they would choose who they wanted.
Yeah.
That's the reason I put
Yeah.
true. I felt that God made it easy.
Yeah, I had true for a while there. Then I got thinking, wait a minute. It says, Jacob I have chosen. And then I got to thinking about what Chuck said back there. And I thought, well, wait a minute. Ishmael, that's the... Okay, before we do that, though, before we go on to the thought questions, let's take a look just briefly. There's something we really have to talk about, and that is the fact that as we plow through this, God's going to be telling us stuff before it happens. What do we call that? What is that called? And the reason it's important, because God doesn't just do that in Isaiah. He does that other places too. Okay, and there are people that we study with, or people that we know, they take a passage out of the Bible, okay, and run with it, knowing full well that doesn't match the other 20 verses that are talking on the other side. So the method, it's called prophetic perfect, okay, when God talks about something in the future that has not happened. So what does he do here? All right, let's just take a look at that for a minute and just see about it. So it's the ability to declare a thing before it happens. In chapter 41, God is saying that is one of the important things. That's one of the really, really important things that differentiates him from the idols. Because he can tell something today that's going to happen 100 years in the future, and guess what? What's the test of a prophet? If it comes true. That's right. If it comes true, and God is saying in about 4 or 5 different ways there, down around verse 23, let's see, where is it? Around verse 25, I think. He's doing it, saying it a lot of different ways. He's saying, look, you can't, why are you even looking at these idols? Go ask them about what's going to happen in 150 years. And let them tell you. Whoa, he says, I don't hear them. I can't hear them. Okay? Well, of course, because they are no gods. They are vanity. All right, but let's go back to the principle, though, of this prophetic perfect. When we see something in the, in Scripture that looks like, whoa, wait a minute, hold the boat. I don't think saints go to heaven. I don't think saints go to heaven until the Lord comes again. Wait a minute, I read in Luke 16 where when we die, we go to Hades. We don't go directly to heaven to be with God. We go to Hades. Well, that's not what Revelation, the opening of the fifth seal says. As there are saints under the altar that are currently praising God and saying, how long, Lord, how long? And so from that kind of stuff, that gets used as a proof text. But wait a minute. Could not God be saying there, hold on a minute, there is going to be a day when the saints are going to be in heaven under the altar saying, how long, how long? Does that have to be now? Okay, during the time? No, it doesn't have to be now, because there's an answer to that. The answer to it is God is telling you about something now, okay, that's going to be happening in the future. That's just an example. There are lots and lots and lots of others. But understanding prophetic perfect, that God is the only one, and that God teaches us by telling us stuff that's going to happen in the future right now. You with me? So, let's take a look at what he says. And he says, I am the Lord, that is my name, and my glory will I not give to another, neither my praise to graven images. Behold, the former things are come to pass, and new things I do declare. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them. So he's telling them flat out, this ain't happened yet, but I'm telling you because I am the Lord, okay, so that you can understand more. You can have better understanding of what's going to happen. Okay, why you're going to need discomfort, that's one of the things, right, that they would have to know. But what I'm saying is, you can fast forward that into the New Testament, the same issue. When you run into difficult passages like that, you'll say to yourself, well, wait a minute, I don't know. That could be prophetic perfect. And you can launch into that and do that study and see if that might be what the difference is. Well, one thing's for sure, God is not the author of confusion. If there's a whole stream of verses over here telling you one thing, okay, and you've got one verse standing out there all by themselves, we have to look at different angles, and prophetic perfect is just one of those things that we might look at. Is remembering, oh, wait a minute, I remember in Isaiah that this is something God told me he does. And who, as I shall call, and shall declare it, and set it in order for me, since I appointed the ancient people and the things that are coming and shall come, let them show unto them. He's saying to the idols, okay, to those think of idols, let them show you what's going on. Assemble yourselves and come, draw near together, ye that are escaped of the nations. They have no knowledge. They set up wood of their graven image, and pray unto a God that cannot save. Tell ye, and bring them near, yea, let them take counsel together, who hath declared ancient times and things that are not yet done, my counsel shall stand. So he's telling you things that haven't even occurred. And then on it goes. So, all I'm saying is, it's there as a tool, okay, as you're using your head, trying to understand maybe a difficult passage that seems to conflict, okay, take a look at that and see if that might not be what the issue is. Questions about that? Okay. let's take a look in the remaining time. We don't have much time left, but let's take a look at the thought questions. First one was, where is Isaiah 40, verses 6 through 8, quoted in the New Testament? Yeah, and he's making that appeal to a holy life in 1 Peter 1:24, right? So let's read 40, 6 through 8 together. Let's think about it. 46 through 8. The voice said, cry, and he said, what shall I cry? All flesh is as grass, and all goodliness as the flower of the field. The grass withereth, the flower fadeth, because the Spirit of the Lord bloweth upon it. Surely the people is grass. The grass withereth, the flower fadeth, but the word of God shall stand forever. So, when we compare that verse with what's being talked about in the context of 1 Peter 1:24, we see an appeal to a holy life. Okay, and this is what I believe we get out of that, is if you live a holy life, okay, and you go on to be with the Lord, you've lived the best life you could possibly have. But if you choose a different path, what is your life as? Grass. It's like grass. So you have two paths before you. Live for the Lord, okay, live for the Lord, or have a life that's basically meaningless. Have you ever watched these movies? You know, these Hallmark movies and different ones, maybe not Hallmark, but, you know, they get together, it's death. Dad's dying, and he's on his deathbed, and they're all gathered around, little children, everybody's gathered around. You know, Dad has been a scientist or, you know, some great thing. It never, you learn from the movie that Dad had no religious background, could care less, but he did great things for them, you know, something like that. And everybody's gathered around him trying to make meaning of his life while his last moments are there. Am I the only one? I mean, it's like, that's so sad. You know, what they're trying to say, well, you know, he's going to be remembered because he took care and he set up that orphanage over there, you know, and he poured all his money into that in time, and, you know, he's going to be remembered for that. That's pitiful. If all I'm going to be remembered is from my neighbors, you know, and probably for a generation, that's about it. Even if I've done some great thing like set an orphanage up, that's pretty sad, don't you think? Is that the best that could come up around my deathbed? Pretty sad. So when he's, I think that's what he was getting at. Anybody else get something different? I wasn't exactly sure which way to go with it, but that's what I got. Does Isaiah 40:22 indicate that the prophet knew the earth was round? There's a whole lot in the commentaries, there's a whole lot of stuff about that. I believe the answer is yes. I mean, I believe that God told us that it was round, you know, and there's, I got Proverbs 8:27, turn with me to that. Proverbs 8:27. It's just funny though, because we had so much struggle in the world church about whether we were going to be able to call the earth round or flat. It's right there in the in the Bible that he sits on the circle of the earth. I find that kind of humorous. 8:27 says, when he prepared the heavens, I was there when he set a compass upon the face of the depth. Yeah, that's it. Indicating a compass, you know, the concave, the curvature of it. And then the other one is Job 22:14. Job's saying just like it's just so, you know. Hold on, let me find it for you. Job 22:14. I'm almost there. Thick clouds are covering to him that he seeth not, and he walketh in the circuit of the heaven. So, take that for what it's worth. I take those two verses added to that and say, Lord's telling us it's round. Go ahead. What's it say? 26, what is it, 26-7? I got my pen, so yeah, I'll write it down. Okay, good class. We'll do 17 on Sunday morning.
I'm pressing on the upward way, new heights I'm gaining every day, still praying as I onward bound. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground. Lord, lift me up and let me stand by faith on heaven's table land. A higher plane than I have found. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground. My heart has no desire to stay where doubts arise and fears dismay. Though some may dwell where these abound, my prayer, my aim is higher ground. Lord, lift me up and let me stand by faith on heaven's table land. A higher plane than I have found. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground. I want to live above the world, where Satan's darts at me are hurled. For faith has caught the joyful sound, the song of saints on higher ground. Lord, lift me up and let me stand by faith on heaven's table land. A higher plane than I have found. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground. I want to scale the utmost high and catch a gleam of glory bright. But still I'll pray till have not found. Lord, lead me on to higher ground. Lord, lift me up and let me stand by faith on heaven's
good evening. It's certainly a joy to be here. If you will, be turning in your Bibles in the Old Testament to 2 Kings chapter 5. 2 Kings chapter 5, and there we find the story of Naaman and how he was healed of his leprosy. Naaman was a very important person, a commander of the army of the king of Aram. He was a great man in the sight of his master and highly regarded, because through him the Lord had given victory to Aram. He was a valiant soldier, but he had leprosy. There was no known cure for whatever that was, whether it's literal leprosy or some other skin disease. There was no known cure. So now in verse 2, now bands from Aram had gone out and taken a young girl from Israel, and she served Naaman's wife. She said to her mistress, "If only my master would see the prophet who is in Samaria, he would cure him of his leprosy." Naaman went to his master and told him that what the girl from Israel said. "By all means go," the king of Aram said. So Naaman answered directly to the king. He's that important. He answers directly to the king. The king says, "Go, I'm going to send a letter with you." So Naaman left, taking with him 10 talents of silver, 6,000 shekels of gold, 10 sets of clothing. The letter that he took to the king of Israel read, "With this letter I am sending my servant Naaman to you so that you may cure him of his leprosy." As soon as the king of Israel read the letter, he tore his robe and said, "Am I God? Can I kill and bring back to life? Why does this fellow send someone to me to be cured of his leprosy? See how he is trying to pick a quarrel with me?" In verse 8, when Elisha, the man of God, heard the king of Israel had torn his robes, he sent him a message. "Why have you torn your robes? Have the man come to me, and he will know that there is a prophet in Israel." So Naaman went with his horses and chariots, stopped at the door of Elisha's house. Elisha sent a messenger. Does anybody else get those mixed up? Elisha sent a messenger to say to him, "Go wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan, and your flesh will become restored, and you will be cleansed." That's all it was. Now, Elisha himself didn't go out and pronounce that. Elisha did not gather a whole great big gigantic audience to witness, his proclamation and make a big deal out of it. He sent his messenger, "Go tell him to go wash 7 times in the Jordan River." Naaman got angry. "I thought that he would surely come out to me and stand and call on the name of the Lord his God, wave his hand over the spot, and cure me of my leprosy. Are not Abana and Pharpar, the rivers of Damascus, better than any of the waters of Israel? Couldn't I wash in them and be cleansed?" So he turned and went off in a rage. Am I the only one that turns and goes off in a rage sometimes? Yeah, I do that sometimes. I'm working on it. And I know the second I've done it, it ain't right. Okay, verse 13. Naaman's servants went to him and said, "My father, if the prophet had told you to do some great thing, would you not have done it? How much more when he tells you, wash and be cleansed?" So he went down and dipped himself in the Jordan 7 times, as the man of God had told him, and his flesh was restored and became clean like that of a young boy. Now, in this story, there are great people. There's kings, there's the prophet Elisha, there's this great general, Naaman. I have trouble with my arm getting floppy sometimes. There's something I ain't connected in there right now. But anyway, but there are 3 other people, just common, everyday, ordinary servants. There was first the servant girl that told Naaman's wife, have him go see the prophet. You know, just, it could have been any one of us. And then it was, Gehazi. I believe we find out later this servant of Elisha's name is Gehazi that actually delivers the message to Naaman. And when Naaman goes into a rage, it's one of his servants that says, if he told you to do something great, you would have done it. Why not go ahead and do it? Why not go ahead and do what he says? Those are just three people, ordinary, everyday people that happen to be willing to do what they needed to do at the time they needed to do it. My son-in-law calls that leadership. He says it's when you know the right thing to do and you step up and do it. And I kind of like that definition. But these three people could have been any one of us. And we never know when we're going to be placed in a position that can have a big influence on somebody's life. And so let's be ready. Let's be ready to exercise leadership and say or do the right thing whenever we're in any kind of a situation, whether or not there are others along with us. If we have to do it ourselves, do it yourself. Might be one here tonight who needs to come to the Lord and obey the Lord in the waters of baptism. Might be one whose life has strayed away from the right path and might want our prayers to help get back on the right path. If you have any need, won't you come as together we stand and as we sing.
The cleansing power, are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Are you fully trusting in His grace this hour? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Are you washed in the blood, in the soul cleansing blood of the Lamb? Are your garments spotless? Are they white as snow? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Are you walking daily by the Savior's side? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Do you rest each moment in the crucified? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Are you washed in the blood, in the soul cleansing blood of the Lamb? Are your garments spotless? Are they white as snow? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Lay aside the garments that are stained with sin, and be washed in the blood of the Lamb. There's a fountain flow for the soul unclean. Oh, be washed in the blood of the Lamb. Are you washed in the blood, in the soul cleansing blood of the Lamb? Are your garments spotless? Are they white as snow? Are you washed in the blood of